All right. We are live. And so, look, today, this is what I'm going to do the video on, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So, let's dive in. So, what are some ways? And look, you may not have thought about this. I'm just going to be totally transparent with you, but you should have thought about it. If you're a business owner, if you're in sales, and you haven't thought about how sales has changed over the last 24 months, you've lost your mind. Now, look, let's just be honest. Like, first of all, I'm not picking on anybody because we all got smacked between the eyes with this damn COVID mess. But what did you learn? That's the question. What did you learn? Like, what have you changed? What kind of strategy have you employed now that the pandemic has hit? What sales strategy have you employed? What have you changed? Because guess what? You're not selling in a pre-COVID world anymore. You know that, and I know that. Now, let's talk about some examples of what I'm talking about in this post-COVID world and what has changed, right? Now, some things may come to mind, but others may not have, right? And maybe not the complete part of it. So let's go ahead and dive in. So one of the things that if you think about 2020, or at least the latter part of it, we watched workout videos. We watched, everybody and their brother going live for months and months and months. And then Clubhouse emerged, right? And what happened? Clubhouse emerged, and it took a lot of eyeballs off of social media, right? It also took a lot of focus off of social media. At least I know it did for me. It was a massive time suck for me, but I'll tell you, it was hugely beneficial. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm sitting here in front of you today speaking the way I am because, well, it's for a lot of reasons, but I'll be honest. Clubhouse played a massive part in that. And here's what's hilarious is I didn't even realize it at the time. I didn't realize how much impact Clubhouse was going to have on my speaking, right? I had absolutely no idea. But what I did know is there was something different about this app called Clubhouse. I knew there was some kind of something amazing. So let me tie this together for you and how this applies to sales. So and you all know I'm a non-drinker, but I'm having a non-alcoholic beer. So if look, if you know anything about Clubhouse, and maybe you don't, and if you don't, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. It's a voice-only application. So what that means is, I can log on to Clubhouse and have a conversation with people like, Grant Cardone, with Brad Lee, with, you name it, Gary Vee, everybody that is anybody have been on that show or have been on that app. Now you might be thinking, Corey, how the hell does this apply to sales? Well, I'll tell you why. Because what happened on Clubhouse is new markets emerged. And this is what I mean. For example, there are people now selling courses on how to do things in Clubhouse. There were people selling drawings of, like, take a picture of me and then they would draw it and it would be like a cartoon, right? That's an emerging market. That's a sales opportunity that wasn't there before in that magnitude, so to speak. Hell, here's another one. People were paying other people to help them set up their profile on Clubhouse. Now, look, you might be thinking right now, how could somebody offer a service like that knowing Clubhouse is less than a year old? Let's take it 6 months out, right? But let's think maybe Clubhouse was only 6 months old and people were doing the same thing. But guess what? If I'm 6 months ahead of you on something, I'm much more qualified to give you expert advice than you are, right? And look, especially if it's a very extremely new situation like Clubhouse was. So all right. So let's jump away from Clubhouse for a minute because I could go down all kinds of rabbit holes. Next thing I want you to think about is food delivery, right? Food delivery to our house. Not everybody used it. And it's also now. Meanwhile, I don't know that it took off. It was an app. It was a must. If you're a restaurant and you wanted to stay in any sort of business at all, you had to do virtual. You either had to deliver it or you had to do virtual takeout or whatever you want to call it, takeout. But it was a real shift in how we did business. So much so that a lot of restaurants went out of business, right? And a lot of restaurants exploded, right? Let's think about some restaurants that exploded. Well, maybe not even restaurants. Let's think about the companies that exploded. Grubhub, hell, Uber Eats, whoever else, right? Any food delivery. And so the point is like, if you're a restaurant, you're selling your products and your service in a different way. You've packaged it differently than you used to. And guess what? That's important because if you don't know how to pivot, and I hate that word, but if you don't know how to pivot, if you don't know what to do, well, guess what? I mean, in 2020, you were faced with that because you didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on. All I knew was I needed to keep my head down and keep moving forward because I obviously knew this was going to end at some point. I certainly didn't anticipate it lasting as long as it did, but it is what it is, right? Next, emerging, virtual meetings. Now, we already had virtual meetings. I was already doing that. I was already doing Zoom. But guess what? There was, an astronomical amount of growth with just Zoom this year. In fact, I don't know how they did it, but I'm not a computer guy either. I don't understand the ins and outs of software. That's Callie's department. But the point is like, I'm surprised they didn't get totally crushed. I mean, how do you take on that many new customers all at once and not get crushed? What does that tell you? That should tell you that the guys that own Zoom or whoever it is that owns Zoom, they were prepared. They had their business buttoned up. They were ready to rock and roll for whatever was going to happen. They didn't even know they were ready to rock and roll for whatever was going to happen because nobody could have predicted this. And if they had predicted it, you'd called them a liar. So, look, here's another thing. Think about this, right? Maybe you are a consultant and maybe you're one of these guys that goes out and you take your clients on a golf course and you take them out to dinner and you maybe take them to a strip joint. I don't know. I don't know what you do, but guess what? Those days ended really quick. You call yourself a salesperson, but in 2020, you realize you don't know shit about sales. You know how to bring customers together. You know how to entertain them, but that's not selling. All you're doing is showing up and being, the guy that's showing them a good time. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that unless a pandemic hits and everything closes down. So, I'll ask you, and maybe this is something you need to think about. What did you do to stay in front of your clients in 2020? I mean, I know what I did. I did virtual happy hours, right? Even though I don't drink, we still did virtual happy hours. And I would have 5, 10, 20 people on there. And it was just an opportunity for us to get together and have a conversation and try to feel like there was some normalcy in our lives. Even though there was no normalcy, right? But I built some really great relationships in 2020 because of this. And it makes, dude, it really has brought a lot of things to light. Now, I want you to think about this, right? So take Advanced Auto Parts, for example. Advanced Auto Parts had a record-breaking year, right? Like several companies. But let's just take them in particular, right? First of all, they had to take on the demand in the middle of a pandemic or in the middle of whatever you want to call this thing. And so they had to adapt and overcome. There was a lot of business that was done at Advanced Auto Parts in 2020. In fact, they had a record-breaking year. So why is this that important? How did this change their sales game? Well, think about this. They had a record-breaking year with no sales reps in the field. Yeah, there were people in the stores, but there were no sales reps calling on customers, calling on clients. No B2B, none of that. So you got to ask yourself, if you're the CEO of Advanced Auto Parts, then maybe it's time to ask yourself, how much of that sales force do I need to bring back? Or maybe do I need to shift all my sales force to being online? Right now, I know what they did. Because I'm privy to that information. And so, but what they did was they gave some people the option to come back to work. And then they gave some people the option to work from home. And then they gave some people the option to be hybrid. I don't know what the hell hybrid means other than you're in two places, you're in two different places twice a week. Either you're at home or you're at work. But I don't know what the parameters of that is. But this worked out really well for some people, especially people that didn't want to get the mandatory vaccination. Well, it's not mandatory anymore, but the point is that, think about this. Like you may be one of these folks that maybe the vaccine mandate has affected. And I don't know if that's you. I just don't know. But if it has affected you and you're standing up for what you believe in, and that is that you shouldn't be mandated to take a medication, I understand that. And I also understand if you took it because your family was going to starve to death, right? I mean, it's a really tough spot. And this is not political. Understand that. This has nothing to do with politics, but it has everything to do with a decision that you may have already had to make, or a decision that you're going to have to make. And that decision could cost you your career. That decision could have you start something new, right? Let's look at it slightly different. Maybe it won't cost you your career, but maybe it'll get you out of that dead ass end career that you're currently in, that you absolutely hate, and you're miserable every day you go to work. Maybe this is an opportunity that you have to stand up for your rights. You quit that job and God opens another door. I can't tell you how many times this has happened for me. But I also believe in God, and I believe that the good will win, because good usually wins, right? I've been bad in the past. I've been a shitty person. And guess what? I may have won temporarily, but it was temporary. It wasn't anything lasting. And that sucks. So long story short, a lot of stuff's changed in 2020 and in the last 2 years. And if you're not looking at this seriously, if you're not looking at what are you going to do post-pandemic? And if your strategy is the same strategy as it was in 2019, if it's the same in 2021 and 2022, you're screwed. Because guess what? Everything's changed. And whether you want to believe that or not, it doesn't really matter. And even if the perception is that everything has changed, guess what? Perception is reality. My perception especially is my reality. Your perception is absolutely your reality. And so you got to think about this. You got to really, really think about it. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't even matter who you voted for. None of that shit. None of that matters. But what does matter is you may have a decision to make. And that decision may cost you your livelihood. That decision may cost you your morals. And what I mean by those two things is you may take this thing and morally you're perplexed, or you may not take it and you are financially perplexed. And either one is not a good situation. I don't want to be in either one of those situations whatsoever. And I'm sure you don't either. But look, if you are in that situation, I want you to look at this as an opportunity for you to grow, for you to start something new, for you to potentially maybe go out and start that business. Go out and get that other job. Go out and take on a side hustle. Go out and look, this is an opportunity for you to become the person that you want to be. And if you don't take the opportunity now, you may never get it again. And I'm just telling you, like, this is such a crazy time that we're living in, but it's a crazy good time that we're living in. Don't get me wrong. There is some bad out there, but I'm not going to dabble in that. I just choose to know and believe that the good's going to win. And guess what? If I would have gotten everything in my life that I asked for or that I thought I wanted, dude, I'd probably be 6 feet under right now. And that's God's honest truth. Because look, I didn't come from, I had a great family growing up. Don't get me wrong. But man, did I have some struggles as well. And most of those I brought on myself. And so, there are going to be times in your life that it's going to feel like somebody has their foot on your throat and you can't breathe. And those are the times that you're going to be more successful. Those are the times that you're going to feel like you're winning. Now, you may not feel it right at that very time, but as soon as you overcome that adversity, whatever it is, you're going to feel like $1 million. You're going to feel like a winner because you are a winner. And look, you don't have to make any changes. You can just sit by and watch everybody else make a change. Watch everybody else pivot. Watch everybody else get better. Now, a lot of you did that in 2020. A lot of you sat on the couch, watched Netflix, and didn't do a damn thing. And guess what? Now you're fucking 40 pounds overweight, maybe more. You're not in great shape. You're tired. You're ultimately probably to a degree depressed. But guess what, dude? You brought that on yourself. Now, I'm going to toot my own horn for a moment. I'll tell you what we did in 2020. I told my wife we were sitting there watching Netflix just like you. And I told my wife, I said, if we don't get our asses off this couch and make a change right now, we are going to wind up just like everybody else in this world. And so we did. We started 75 hard again. That was our second round. And then we did a 5-day water fast. Now, I know that's a bit extreme. I get that. But I like extreme shit. I like doing shit that most people don't want to do. That's why I love what I do. I love getting on video here, talking to you, because it makes me feel good. I also like smoking my cigar. So here's what I want to leave you with. If you own a company and you haven't changed your strategy for sales or marketing, you better get with it. And if you have changed your strategy for sales and marketing, what is it? Because I want to know. I want to know what it is. This is what I help people do, is figure out how to shore up their damn follow-up, figure out how to shore up their sales process, how to figure out how to help that business owner become a business owner opposed to having a job. And look, most of you guys have a job. Most of you don't own a business. And I can say that because I used to be the same exact way. And yeah, your name might be on the title or on the business, but guess what? If you're busting ass all day, every day, and you're working inside the business and you're not growing it, you're an employee. Now, I don't know how bad that stings when I say that, but guess what, dude? You're not supposed to know this. You're not supposed to know all the ins and outs of the business. If you're just starting out, of course you're not supposed to know that. So don't beat yourself up. Don't think that's what I'm doing here. But I want to point out that if you don't have a strategy after this damn pandemic, you're going to get hammered by the competition. You're going to get hammered because guess what? They're thinking ahead of you right now because they've probably hired me and I'm helping them think ahead of you right now because that is what I do. And so if you're not with it, you got to get with it. Because if you don't, dude, like you're going to be in trouble. So I'm not going to ramble on anymore. I would like to make an ask. Don't turn the video off is the first ask. Secondly, I need you to share this video out. Look, my name is Corey Berrier. I'm the sales CEO. You can see that clear as day on there. I help business owners get back their time, make more money. And the way I do that is I shore up the areas that they don't know need shoring up. And you might ask yourself, well, how does somebody know they need to work with you? Because you're stuck in your business and it's the same shit over and over every day. You're bored, right? Or you've hit the glass ceiling, so to speak, and you want to break it and you don't know how to do it. So you bring somebody in like me to give you the tips and tricks, the tools to make sure that happens. You can also go visit my podcast, Successful Life Podcast. You should go check that out as well. You can follow me on all my social channels at Corey Berrier. All that'll be in the stuff below. And I'm also going to give you all a little treat, my Objection Crusher cheat sheet, which is just a list of objection handling process that I think you'll really enjoy. And I know that if you actually use it, you're going to be better in sales. You're going to be a ton better in sales. In fact, you'll be a sales legend. Lastly, join my Sales Legends Facebook group. I'll put that in the notes as well. And drop a comment. Let me know what you thought about this. Let me know what your strategy is for 2022. And let me know that you don't have a strategy. And I can help you. So folks, I appreciate you. Appreciate you watching this video. Subscribe to this channel. Follow me. Share it. Like it. Tell everybody and their brother about it because you are going to be a sales legend. Till next time, folks.